Mother 2, or EarthBound in not Japan, is a game that didn't really sell well in America. It wasn't until Super Smash Bros. Came out in 1999, 5 years after the release of EarthBound, that most of us were introduced to the blank 1,000-yard stare of the game's protagonist, Ness. I mean, seriously, look at this kid. He's seen some shit, man. If you're like me, handsome and smart, you probably had no idea where Ness came from or why he had a baseball bat and could throw you with his mind. It wasn't until years later that I was able to play EarthBound, mostly cause ain't nobody got money for that. But when I did, what I found was a mind-bending game about a young boy with psychic powers, his 3 friends, a pile of barf, a Loch Ness monster, a chubby shithead next door, and a malevolent time-traveling alien presence named Giygas, a force bent on the destruction of the world. It's all pretty standard, really. Not to mention the entire setting is essentially a parody of modern American suburbia from the Japanese perspective. How could you not love this game? The concept was pulled from the mind of the Mother series creator Shigesato Itoi, a man virtually unknown in the West, but a total celebrity in Japan. If you look around the interwebs, you'll see a lot about this game, how it's beloved, and how the fanbase is insatiable when it comes to the whole series. But why? What's so great about EarthBound? What's so magical about our 4 heroes and the journey they go on? What can we learn from a game based on a simplistic and satirical Japanese view of America? Is there something behind a talking pile of vomit and an evil circus tent? This game gets into some deep, reality-shattering shit. Yet the characters, the environment, all of it is so childlike, misleadingly so. It's as though something is hiding beneath the surface, something that was within us all along. Think I'm being too grandiose? All I'm saying is, EarthBound has captured the love and attention of its fanbase for over 2 decades for a reason. That kind of replay value doesn't come from nothing. It comes from a game with a plot that's truly fascinating, even inspiring. It has something to say about life's deepest questions, even if you don't realize it. So enough with the teasing. Grab your red hat, yo-yo, and exclusive set of fart-smelling scratch-and-sniff stickers and prepare yourself for the story of Ness, for the story of agony and loss and why we go through such miseries at all. This is the story you never knew. This is Ness, like NES, but with an extra S, like SNES. I see what you did there, Itoi-san. Not a lot to him. Red hat, stripy shirt, blank eyes of a nom-bet.
They drew first blood, not me.
Just your average kid from Eagle Land in 1990X. Except for the fact that he's the chosen one destined to save the world from the ultimate evil. Talk about high expectations. That's right, this little guy is the only thing stopping the destruction of the cosmos from the future calamity known as Giygas. But I'll get to that. At the start, Ness is woken up in the middle of the night by a meteor crashing somewhere outside his house. He decides to go and investigate with his neighbors, i.e. that shitlord I mentioned earlier in the intro, Pokey. When they arrive at the crash site, Ness is greeted by a bee. Wow. You heard me. A bee. 6 legs, yellow stripes, stinger. Anyway, this bee, cleverly named Buzz, reveals that he is from 10 years in the future, where everything is destroyed and bad. And also that Ness is the child of destiny, born to prevent that future. He also tells Ness not to stress about it, which is kind of sending mixed signals there, Buzz. What's more is that in the present time, Giygas' influence has already started to spread. This is turning everything evil, from dogs to hippies to even stop signs and taxicabs. And just when you think you'll have a good relationship with this OPB, he gets murdered in cold blood by Pokey's mom! Buzz. With Buzz the bee's final words, he tells Ness to find 2 boys and a girl to help him along the way, and to discover the 8 sanctuaries. Standard RPG stuff. Once Ness and his crew find the sanctuaries, he will become one with the Earth and be able to use its power to defeat Giygas. Buzz, you will be remembered. This untimely death immediately sets the tone of the game. A mix of childlike imagination and a beautiful, bright-colored world layered with humor and American satire, all over extremely dark undertones. Ness is
get the boy, poor little feller,
but with a mission that will decide the fate of the world. This is the kind of scenario that could be reasonably concocted on the playground of an elementary school, and it plays out like one as well. However, real emotions begin to surface as we start to comprehend the undertaking of our journey. I did promise this game dives deep into life's most excruciating questions, so why not get into that?
Stop.
Really though.
There are
You see, in the West, the cultural view is all for one, but in the East, it's more like one for all. So over here, we're all about the individual, and over there, they're all about the whole. That matters because EarthBound is set in a wacky version of the West. However, the creators are still Japanese, and a view on the world is a hard thing to change. Also, EarthBound is satire, a style of humor that pokes fun at something by emulating it in exaggerated ways. Just because EarthBound looks like America, it doesn't mean that on the inside, the game isn't the work of an extremely intelligent Japanese man. A man laughing at our American customs and ideals. Like, actually, that wasn't a random metaphor. A popular philosophy in some Asiatic cultures weighs heavily on the concept of two sides. This is most easily represented by the yin-yang. In America, you'll usually see it tattooed right above someone's butt at Six Flags. But that doesn't make it not important. You probably already understand the basic idea of the symbol, but let me break it down for you. The yin-yang is a symbolic representation of light and dark, two sides of the same coin. They swirl together, but one never obscures the other, unless the tattoo is bad, but you get what you pay for. There is also a segment on each side where the light infuses the dark and the dark infuses the light, showing the unity of the two concepts. One side can never completely overshadow the other without dire consequences. In EarthBound, the light and dark are represented by Ness and Giygas, and Giygas' immense power is throwing the balance of light and dark all out of whack. Too much chocolate in the milk, you know? And that's not the only dark, spoopy stuff going on. From the outset, Ness, a 13-year-old boy, is pitted against wild animals, punks, and even brutalized by the local cops. And there's something else that's interesting here. The surrealistic nature of these encounters and the world they occur in are something only a child could conceive of. However, the responses, like getting homesick or needing to call your dad regularly to check up, are very down to earth. Yet at the same time, the first boss is a giant ant made of titanium, which Ness beats up with a bat and his psychic powers. Oh, the dichotomy. However, upon Ness's arrival at the first of the 8 sanctuaries, the tone pulls a big 180. This place is called the Giant Step, and it is, in fact, a step. But it also has a giant's footprint in it as well. What a play on words, but the footprint is something a child could easily imagine when hearing the words Giant Step. Here, Ness is granted a vision of a small puppy, and the music becomes serene. The rest of the sanctuaries go the same way, each location bringing Ness a new, familiar experience, a vision of a baby in a red cap, his mother's voice saying, "Be a thoughtful, strong boy," the scent of his favorite food, a vision of his father holding him, a glimpse of a bottle, and finally the feeling that he is being watched by himself as a baby. How strange. Oh well, we've got more to look at here, like Ness's friends. Oh yeah, here we go, Paula. Paula is a little girl from Tucson who is known for her super awesome psychic powers. She also got kidnapped by some crazy cult who wants to turn the world blue and make everyone happy, and probably listen to that Eiffel 65 song way too much.
Yo, listen up, here's the story.
Fuck that. Then there's Jeff. He's a super smart ultra science nerd who likes to play with things that blow up. He doesn't have any psychic powers, but he has a ray gun and he kicks butt. Also, he's friends with this purple dinosaur named Tessie who gives no shits. And this little bubble monkey. Jeff's dad is also a science guy who happens to be a crappy father, but he built a spaceship you get to ride in and plays key roles in the narrative, so that's cool. Last but not least, we have Pooh. Yes, Pooh. Like the stuff your food turns into after you eat it, but in other places it's actually a name. Culture, am I right? Pooh is super strong and does kung fu. All 3 of these characters have had psychic premonitions of uniting with Ness and saving the world. They eventually meet up with our protagonist throughout different points in the game. Together, the group faces zombies, aliens, an actual pile of barf, and they even travel to a mirror dimension of the city Fourside. Pretty crazy stuff for a couple of little kids. But I feel I've missed something. Oh yeah, the introduction of Pooh. This is where things get interesting. Really interesting. You see, Pooh isn't just a karate dude. He's a karate dude and the Prince of Dalam, a mystical city in the clouds which looks real similar to Buddhist temples in the mountains of Tibet. In order to get to Ness while playing as Pooh, you have to jump through some truly strange hoops. Mystical hoops even. Mystical hoops in a city that's basically a temple in the clouds. Oh, Shikasato Itoi, you sure know how to paint a picture. While in this place of spiritual whatchamahoosit, you naturally have to go through some agony. Terrible agony, as none other than Pooh. Safe to say the poop emoji's got nothing on this guy, especially once his transformation is complete. His transformation through meditation. Not just the sitting cross-legged on a pillow kind, but the kind of meditation that tears your arms off while sitting on that pillow. Subgenres get weird sometimes, but at the end of the day, those genres, be them music or meditation, are itching to get at the same thing. That experience you feel when time stands still, like when you're completely enraptured by your favorite song. Pooh is going through a meditation so he can feel that way all the time. Doesn't mean it ain't gonna be a bitch though. At the beginning of his trial, you're told to stop, a demand by Pooh's master, but you continue anyway. You're then shown a vision of Pooh's ancestor spirit, who says to complete the training, he must break both of your legs. And you agree. He then asks to tear off your arms and feed them to the crows, and you agree. He then asks to cut off your ears, and when he does, the sound cuts out, leaving Pooh laying there, crippled and deaf. The ancestor asks to take out his eyes, and finally to steal his mind. Afterwards, Pooh awakens whole, finding he has completed his training. See, your appendages, your senses, even your mind are all possessions you own, even though you think of them as attached to your body. And what we've witnessed here with Pooh is a kind of lesson, a lesson of the Orient. You know, the place with Japan and China and the Eastern Hemisphere, you get it. But not Russia though. A little Buddhist lesson from the Far East that incites a light, a spark, an inner truth that could reveal the vast workings and mechanisms of the universe at large. Something to bind us all together in a global society that is designed to keep us apart. It is therefore no coincidence that Ness has to visit 8 sanctuaries on his journey, and no coincidence that when he arrives, he is gifted with a vision of his infancy. It is the goal of Buddhism to let go of suffering, which is brought on by desires and possessions, to become one with the moment and to become one with the universe. It sounds heavy, but let me explain. In many sects of Buddhism, the ultimate endgame is to once again reach a childlike state, one in which you have no wants and everything is once again magical and new. With this mind, you can once again see the world for what it really is, and truly live within each moment as things go on. To achieve this, you must follow the noble 8-fold path. By the endgame, Ness has gone down his 8 paths, become one with his true self. Having sacrificed everything, he is ready to save the world. Possessions, sacrifice. Again, sounding kind of lame. I like my bejeweled iPhone case. But try this. Try to figure out who you are without talking about something you own. You might say, oh, I'm a person who loves Treesicle and thinks they're man babes. Or I play sports balls, but I think the Treesicle boys are man babes. But those are things you like, or things you think. But what is it that likes? What is it that thinks? What is this you? The essence of self is impossible to describe. Letting go of all these superficial aspects of personality, these superficial items you have, like a car or house, or even less superficial things like a body or mind, is the only way to discover what you truly are. This mindset lies in direct contrast to Pokey's, that chode who lives next door. Remember that blue man cult that kidnapped Paula? Pokey! The little monster even pops up again in Fourside as the corrupt mayor's employee. Fourside is the last real stop before Pooh shows up, and its theme is greed and corruption, desire for earthly possessions and power. Pokey is fueled by this spite, greed and power, and suffers immensely for it. But before we get to that, there's one more thing I wanted to point out. After reaching the 8th sanctuary, the end of his path, Ness is transported to a place called Magicant. This area is a trippy dimension which only exists in Ness's mind. Here he faces the evil part of his brain known as Ness's nightmare, and upon defeating it, our red-hatted hero realizes his true self. Ness realizes he has truly great power within, and in doing so increases his stats dramatically. This is the point of enlightenment for our little psychic friend, the point where he finally understands what he must do to save the world, where he lets go of earthly desires and becomes whole. See, fear is suffering brought on by the desire for safety, and now Ness has no fear. And evil is suffering brought on by desire for selfish gain, and Ness has defeated it. But before he goes to put a boot in the booty of Giygas, he must visit Saturn Valley, the land of the Mr. Saturns. Now, Shikasato Itoi created the Mr. Saturns to embody good and innocence in the world of EarthBound, To return to them after enlightenment would make sense. But it turns out that Pokey showed up to ruin things again. He kidnapped a Mr. Saturn and stole a piece of the phase distorter you need to get to the past. Thankfully, the meteorite where you met Buzz Buzz—
and it's hard.
No! God, please, no!
R.I.P. Buzz Buzz— is made of the exact stuff Jeff's science dad needs to fix the contraption. But on the complete flip side of the Mr. Saturn, eToy created Giygas to embody the loss of innocence in a person. While designing this creature, he thought of a movie he saw as a child. This film badly traumatized him with what he took as a rape scene. So know that we're in for something dark. Retrieving lost innocence is the key to returning to your childlike state. At some point, we all lose our innocence. This could be caused by a number of things, but gaining it back is no easy task. Giygas represents that loss and all the possible consequences of it. After fixing the phase distorter and saving poor Mr. Saturn, you find that Giygas has gone far into the past. However, in order to use the phase distorter to get there and defeat him, you're going to have to give up, well, everything. The phase distorter cannot transport organic matter. Ness and friends are forced to undergo extreme surgery to separate their conscious minds from their bodies in order to be uploaded into robots and get sent back in time. There is also no guarantee of return. Casting aside possessions also includes emotions like fear and doubt, to become dispassionate and do what is right no matter what. So, like enlightened little lemmings, the group, now in mechanical bodies with nothing to lose, marches on to Giygas' lair, a black hole in the earth filled with nothing but entrails, until they come face to face with Pokey? What are you doing here, Pokey? I knew you were bad, but not this bad. Also, you don't look so good. What the heck happened to your skin? Ew, man. Gross. So apparently Pokey is Giygas' right-hand man now, or is he? Pokey reveals Giygas is no longer just evil. He is the embodiment of evil, and everything that he was is gone because his might has destroyed his own mind. He's so powerful and so immense that he cannot even fathom himself, like a true god of darkness. A fight ensues, but after a while, Ness's attacks are no longer effective. Nothing works on Giygas. All seems lost.
Damn yous! God damn yous all!
But then Paula is given an option to pray. One of the most humbling things a person can do is ask for help when they need it. At this point, there is nothing left to do for our heroes but to stop fighting and pray. To understand your limits and to realize when it's time for assistance takes true humility. And thankfully, their pleas are heard by their mothers and loved ones, the people and monkeys they helped along the way. And finally, in the end, they're heard by you, the player. Yeah, literally you. This ain't no philosophical mumbo-jumbo. The game addresses you personally. In the beginning of the game, you're asked to put in the names of your characters, and your dog, and your favorite food. Mine's avocado toast. But later you're asked to put in your name, your real name. Something that is confusing because it's so uncommon. Little did you know that you were part of this story all along, and in the end, it's your thoughts and your motivation that takes down Giygas. EarthBound is a story where good and evil play against each other, just as they do in your own head. You used to be just an innocent child. We all were. This is the core beginning of life as a human that ties us all together. However, our experiences change us and separate us from each other. You see, Ness and his friends and the game itself were simply a conduit for your mind, to go back to a childlike state. It was designed to enter you into a world that was familiar yet wacky and weird. Common sights were all of a sudden interesting and exciting because you didn't know what to expect. Real life is like this too, but you probably don't see it that way anymore. The loss of innocence is something we all go through. Sometimes it's traumatic, or sometimes it can just be an aspect of getting older. But one day, the leaves in the trees no longer seemed to hold the magic they did when we were children. Car rides seemed shorter, and more about getting to the destination than taking in the journey. As we build our personalities, we lose perspective, but EarthBound brings that magic back. It subtly teaches the player about what they have lost and how to retrieve it once again. You were controlling the destiny of our heroes all along, and it was you who wanted to restore balance to Eagle Land, just like it's you who naturally wants to restore balance to your own mind, to your own life. Ness found peace within himself throughout his journey, and ultimately by defeating the evil in his own mind. But so did you. It was your wishes for our heroes, for Eagle Land, and for Harmony that do massive damage and inevitably defeat Giygas.
Great job.
But Pokey escapes, so have we really won? The answer is yes. This is once again an example of the core concept of Eastern thought. Evil can never be defeated because without it, the concept of good would no longer exist. Evil and good hold each other up and keep reality spinning away. But in order for them to function correctly, there must be balance, yin and yang. Thanks to your efforts and personal growth, you are able to reset the balance of good and evil in the world of EarthBound. So this isn't a Link or Mario blank character situation. This isn't you injecting yourself into some soulless plumber. EarthBound is a story you might recognize. One of an innocent childhood, responsibility and the loss of innocence, and the ultimate goal of gaining that innocence back. EarthBound is your enlightenment. Your story. You never knew. And that's my take on EarthBound. This one got pretty deep, didn't it? It's an amazing game, so it's only natural. Also, I'll be giving away a Starbucks gift card with 19 cents left on it to the first person to name their kid Pooh. Why not give your child a lifetime of mockery to save on that syrupy crack-you-out concoction? Priorities, people. Anyway, if you liked what you saw, hit that subscribe button and definitely hit that bell so you get notified as soon as we post a video. Last but not least, thanks to everyone who watches our stuff. It still blows my mind there's over 700,000 of you, so thanks for making this crazy YouTube adventure possible. I'm Grant, and I'll see you beautiful people next time.